There is a joke that in Russia at the same time exist at least two countries, Moscow and Russia. Unfortunately, living conditions in Moscow are really different from other cities. That's why this joke has some truth. Because of living conditions, almost every Russian resident strives to live in Moscow. That's why there is a very big influx of people from regions to the capital. So today we're gonna discuss how much time does it take if you live in Russia and want to buy your own apartments in Moscow. Meet Vlad. Vlad lives in Russia and works. I didn't find the exact percentage of employees in Russia, but in Russia only 3% of the working age population are registered as entrepreneurs. And the person who has a vending machine or sells goods on Instagram is also an entrepreneur, even if he doesn't earn money and just loses them. About 6% are unemployed or work in the informal sector. Therefore, Vlad also works for the organization like most of Russians. Our hero is a middle-income person. That means that half of the people in Russia earn more than him and the other half less. So he's median. By the way, these numbers include Moscow, so maybe he already lives in Moscow and wants to buy his own apartment. The salary of our hero due to official stats is 34.3 thousand of rubles per month. That is $562. The tax on personal income in Russia is 30%. It's planned to increase it to 15%, but we'll assume that it's 30%. So after taxes, Vlad's salary is $487. It's a nice start, right? In the first example, our hero will buy an average apartment. That is, an apartment of medium size and it has an average price. Let our hero want a 2-bedroom apartment in case he will make children in the future or anything else. So, for 2-room apartments, the average area in Moscow is 58.5 square meters, and the average price per square meter is $3,279. It turned out that such an apartment will cost the hero $192,000. Now we introduce two important premises. Firstly, we'll not take into account the fact that the hero can put money in the bank and receive 6% per year on his savings, and we'll ignore that apartments in Moscow are getting more expensive with time. This will make it easier for Vlad because extra money from deposit won't cover apartment's price change. Secondly, the hero saves the entire salary. He doesn't eat, doesn't drink, doesn't buy clothes, and live on the street or with friends. So all money he made he'll save for buying a flat. This is the middle apartment with the right area, number of rooms and price. It takes 15 minutes to get to the nearest metro station. The house, as you can see, isn't the newest, but it was painted this year. So Vlad will save money for 341 months or 28.5 years to buy these apartments. Sounds horrible. And in this beautiful house, the head of state-owned company Russian Post bought an apartment for $1 billion of rubles. It's $16.5 million. This is more than 100 of his annual salaries. But today we do not discuss corruption. Let's just imagine that Vlad wants a luxury flat in Moscow. This isn't the most expensive estate in Moscow, but without a doubt, only rich people live here. The apartments in the complex are actively sold, so we have chosen one of the smallest in size and one of the cheapest apartments. 201 square meters, 3 rooms, 5 minutes from the metro will cost the hero only $3.8 million. With a median salary, he will buy such an apartment in 652 years. Do not forget, he still puts off his entire salary and doesn't eat. Now let's get more realistic. Vlad doesn't care where he lives. The main thing is Moscow. We'll choose the cheapest option. The hero agrees to 1 room and 35 square meters. Children's are already out of the question. He'll buy an apartment in the area that hadn't even entered Moscow before. To get to the nearest metro station Salarevo, he will need 55 minutes by public transport. And Salarevo is far away from the center. If Vlad walks in the Kremlin, that is in the center of Moscow, he'll spend 3 hours a day on the way to work. Such an apartment will cost $54,000, and you'll save up for it for 9 years and 2.5 months. Don't forget, you still have no ability to it. So, what conclusion can we make from this story? It's impossible for an ordinary Russian to buy his own apartments in Moscow, even if he saves 100% of his income. This situation makes you dependent on your relatives, because if no one bequeaths a property to you, likely you will live a whole life in a rented room or with your family. Or you should find a way to get rich, but likely this way won't be connected with a job anyhow. So that's all I wanted to say. Write topics that could be interesting for you for the next videos, and see you later.